Hey, so I want to walk you through how I found a belief today and thought about it and changed it, and actually kind of got an insight into another area where I probably am going to have to um, look to as a source for some of the beliefs that I need to change. Um, and for me, this is a very simple thing, and I understand for other people this could be pretty complicated, but for me, this works really well. And so the first thing is, I notice quickly that I am not feeling right. Something is distressing me. So this morning, I'm going to be completely honest about everything that has to do with this, even though it's kind of embarrassing. Okay, so this morning, I posted the video on, it's Monday right now, May 25th, Memorial Day. So this morning, I posted the video about how I had, an example of how outwardly something has changed from changing an inward belief. And then the example I used was, both my mom and I had this thing where we would comment on people's looks negatively, just all the time. My ex will confirm this. So I would just be like, what the hell's up with her hair? Or wow, nice outfit. I would say that crap watching TV. Not about necessarily people I know or whatever, but I just had this thing. It was almost like a tick. It just came out. And my mom kind of does the same thing. And she does it at me, which sucks. And always has, she'll just kind of say something, and I'm just did you, for example, when I first met Steve, the first day that he was coming to pick me up to go out to dinner, we had met on OkCupid, and then for a week we had really clicked, and we were getting ready, I was getting ready to meet him for the first time, and I went over to my mom's to borrow some black thread to sew the V in my shirt closed so that I wasn't popping out of my shirt, and fully knowing the situation, knowing that I was literally 45 minutes from being picked up by a guy who had never seen me in person before, she chose that time to say, are you going to continue to lose weight? Because I forget what you look like an Ethiopian or something. She made a comment like that. Which at the time, I took that and was I don't know. It honestly, it screwed up the whole night for me, which ended up not going well. Oh, my issues with Steve. But anyway, that's the kind of thing. I don't think that she meant to upset me with it. I don't think she really meant anything by it. It probably wasn't, she probably didn't, I probably took it as way more important than she actually meant it, because I was I look like an Ethiopian, really? I was really am I really getting that skinny? Do I have an eating disorder? Whatever. That's the kind of thing that she would do to me. But then also, I picked it up from her. I picked up the mental pathology from her about this, and we both did the exact same thing, which is just comment on people all the time. And my dad kind of has a thing with this too. So, anyway, I've noticed, sorry, long-winded. I've noticed that, as I have explored this issue and really started to figure out what are all the things that I believe about myself as far as my physical appearance goes, what do I believe that says about my worth? What do I believe that says about my desirability as a partner, et cetera, et cetera. I've gone through all this. I've, as I've worked through this and looked at beliefs and said, that's not true, whatever, my outward presentation to the world has changed. I don't do that thing anymore where I comment on people's looks, almost at all. And so this morning I posted that video, and, I feel ashamed of having done that. I feel like a jerk about that. And that's just my feeling about it. It's no big deal. I'll let it go. I get it. I forgive myself. I get where it came from, blah, blah, blah. But so I put my video up, and immediately I started feeling that way. I started feeling like embarrassed and ashamed, and I was like, you know what am I doing, like putting this stuff out there publicly? Like this is embarrassing. I'm embarrassing myself. And I just started feeling really into that feeling. Like I was just like, oh my God, like I am a joke. Like this is, and I felt this way when I first started putting stuff on YouTube too, really bad. I felt like, you know, I'm not to be taken seriously. I have nothing of value to say. And anyway, so this morning I'm sitting there feeling this, and I'm like, where did this come from? Like what? I've had this feeling now repeatedly. Like this is a recognizable feeling. Where did this come from? So I'm just kind of laying there in bed. I had just woken up. I just sort of let my mind wander, and it literally immediately wandered back to this scene from when I was maybe, I think I was in 7th or 8th grade. And my brother was over. Okay, first of all, I'm a singer. I don't think I've ever mentioned that. I'm a really good singer. Never done anything with it other than a project here, a project there. And my brother was over with his bandmates. He's 4 years older than me. So he was like a senior in high school. I'm like an 8th grade girl, you know. So there's like a bunch of guys upstairs. And so I went into the basement. There was a treadmill in the basement. So I went in the basement, and I was on the treadmill, and I got my headphones on, and I'm singing, right, to whatever I was listening to. And I hear my brother yell down, and I'm sure, because I know myself, I don't remember this, but because I know myself, I'm sure I was trying to impress these like 17-year-old guys. Okay, this is quintessential Maggie. And my brother opens the door to the basement, and he yells down, "You're embarrassing yourself." And my brother is like, he was like such an asshole to me when we were growing up. Like, he's like the coolest guy. He's like so much more successful than I am, like financially. And he's just always been like the bastion of coolness to me. Like, I don't know. He was just like my idol growing up. I've emulated him in so many ways. He's actually the guy that sent me a copy of The Science of Getting Rich when I was 23. Like, he's just a cool guy, but he's got his own many issues. And I honestly have not even begun to explore the things that I believe that have to do with him, because that is probably where the mother lode of everything is. So this morning, I think, was like uncorking a bottle. But I realized this morning that moment, that's one that stands out, because obviously I must have felt really, really embarrassed and ashamed when he said that to me. And it was the same exact emotion that I was feeling this morning, after posting this thing on YouTube. And so what I did was, and I mean, how I've been working on this stuff is looking back at what was actually going on there between a 17-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, and the relationship that we already had, where he was always making me feel that way. He always made me feel like a dumbass. Like, that is, if I had to characterize my relationship with my brother, it was him making me feel like a dumbass. And I made the connection, and I had to just think about it from this perspective. You know, who is my brother? Was I really embarrassing myself? You know, should I really feel ashamed about who I am with its root in that moment? Like, is that thing that happened anything that I should have drawn a conclusion about myself from? Am I making this YouTube channel? Am I the source of my thing today? Did I put this up today to try to impress somebody? Like, is there any element of anything from that original moment that is currently relevant in my life? You know, am I really an embarrassment? Is this really a belief that I need to be applying onto my current life? I'm just looking around, and the answer is no. I don't I don't need to have that anymore. It stems from this one thing. It definitely stems overall. I got the overall impression of myself that brings up those feelings from my brother, who has his own issues. We had this sibling dynamic where I looked up to him. Of course, I was going to value his words and his opinion more than, is reasonable. And so now when I feel that feeling, this is literally how it's changing for me. I immediately stopped feeling bad about the thing this morning. I was just like, first of all, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. I'm putting my stuff out there in the hopes that it's going to help somebody. Plus I enjoy connecting with people. So, plus I'm into this, it doesn't have any place in my current reality. Like those feelings, they came from somewhere and they come up still, and they're not relevant. And so now, next time I feel that feeling, it's very recognizable. Like for me, as I've been examining all this stuff, the emotions I'm feeling are becoming so distinct from each other. It's like the emotion of sadness is categorized into a bunch of different things. And when I feel one, I can kind of trace it back to where it came from and go, that's not relevant anymore. And the thing is, like, you don't have to do that for all that long before the belief just goes away. Like, that's the thing. Now, I can distinctly think of like 2 or 3 different occasions where the thing I felt this morning that I can kind of trace back to feeling like somebody said, "You're embarrassing yourself," to me. Like literally those words. I can recognize that feeling. And the next time I'm feeling that thing, I will make the connection to this morning and the thoughts I had this morning about that incident with my brother. And I will realize that I'm merely experiencing something from the past, and then it's gone. And you do that enough times, it doesn't take that many times before you just don't feel that feeling anymore. You don't have that belief anymore, and it's done. Like, that's the work for me. I would imagine that this is not quite so simple for everybody. But that's how it's been working for me. And it just kind of happened that, I didn't read this technique in a book. I just literally said, where's this feeling coming from? Like, it's too much of an overreaction to what's actually happening right now. There must be something else going on here. Like, my reactions to breakups have always been huge, because it wasn't just about the feelings that I had about the specific person that I just broke up with, or the specific events that took place in the relationship. It was that those things reflected on me, deeper value. I experienced other similar experiences from the past, like, came up again to be felt. It's like they've always been these huge ordeals for me, breakups. The day after Steve and I kind of decided we weren't going to continue doing this thing a few weeks ago, my ex had plans with his girlfriend, and without even telling me, he canceled them because he was anticipating like that I was going to be a basket case, because I always have been. Like, that's been my reaction to every breakup with everybody, is just like, it just activated my worst feelings of being valueless, worthless, physically inadequate, mentally, that did not happen this time. This relationship not working with Steve is not a reflection on me. It doesn't have to do with my value. It doesn't have to do with me at all. It doesn't have to do with any of those things. And it's a different life. And each one of these beliefs that I'm getting rid of, it creates a different life. It removes these periods of time where you feel bad. This whole thing for me is about being happy. It's not about getting a thing that will make me happy. You know, cut out the middleman. That's my take on it. But anyway, man, that took 15 minutes for something that felt like it was pretty simple. But I don't know. I hope this helps somebody. I hope it illuminated the process for someone.